Hello, welcome back to Joe's on Unboxing. Guess who's on his lunch hour? I'm at work and we got ourselves a little strawberry cheesecake and one of these Costa coffee things, which is the first time I bought it and it will be the last time because it's absolute piss. But I'm going to drink it anyway because I paid £1 for it. I don't like throwing £1 away. Anyway, thank you for joining me. Your support is always appreciated, and by support, of course, I mean your time, because I know there's a lot of boxing YouTubers out there and this little channel. If you're giving me your time, I'm always grateful for that. If you're new, then you could hit the subscribe button. That would be a big help. Little subscribe button. Hit it. Build up the channel a bit. Okay, so what we're going to talk about today. Well, I just mentioned that there's lots of different YouTubers and you can't go through all of them. I mean, it's just, there's not enough hours in the day, but there are a few that I really like. And there are some I don't know what the fuck they're talking about. I don't get what they're on about. Some of them don't seem to know a lot about boxing at all. Not that I'm some great expert, but the channels that I like are the ones that make me think. Not just all emotional, reactionary stuff, but actually make me think. So, I'm watching a video and I'm thinking, I hadn't thought of that. Oh, that's a good point. Sometimes I don't agree. Some of the YouTubers I like, I may not agree with all the time, but, you know, if they make me think, that's good. That's a good thing. It's always a good thing to think. Because we live in an era where it's all emotion. I feel this way, this hurt my feelings, this, you know, this is how it makes me feel. Feel. Okay, emotions are what makes us human, but what do you think? Thinking is how you get on the pathway to controlling your emotions, including the bad ones, which is a good thing, because you control those bad emotions. That's half the battle of life. Anyway, where am I going with this? Unfortunately, if you go on any boxing forum, look at the YouTube comments, go on a Facebook thing, you know, there's loads of Facebook boxing groups, all that sort of stuff. It's hard not to feel that most boxing fans, I'll take that back, many boxing fans are absolute twats. It's not that they're ignorant, because ignorance I can forgive, because we're all ignorant at some point. It's the willful ignorance. It's the stupidity and the conceitedness that goes with that stupidity. They haven't got a fucking clue, most of them, or many of them, what they're talking about. Not a fucking clue. So I got to thinking, perhaps I should make a list of all the things to avoid if you want to become a sensible, sane, insightful boxing fan. So, bear with me. I'm going to go through a few things that are just kind of, in no particular order, off the cuff. Bear with me. So, number one, in no particular order, but number one. Never, under any circumstances, be a fanboy of anything, boxing or otherwise. Never put your slavish devotion, or never have slavish devotion is the first thing, but never put your devotion into any other human being. You can respect people, you can look up to people, you can admire them, you can be inspired by them, but never become blind to it. Never have that slavish mentality where everything somebody does is wonderful and everything everyone else does, if it infringes on that person in any way, is bad. And we see this all the time in boxing. The amount of fanboys is embarrassing, absolutely embarrassing. I'm going to pick a couple of fighters, but it's not just exclusively to these fighters, but Mayweather. Mayweather hasn't had a decent fight, a real fight, since Andre Berto. He had that ridiculous farce with Conor McGregor and all these, God knows how many millions of pay-per-views he sold, but why? It was so obvious to anyone who knew anything about boxing that McGregor didn't have a fucking chance, but people bought into it. And you still, to this day, years later, even though he's a retiree, you get the most stupid, blind, delusional nonsense spoken by these Mayweather fanboys. It's fucking embarrassing. Mayweather can't do anything wrong. Mayweather's the greatest ever. Mayweather would have beaten all of the Murderers Row lot. He'd have stood Sugar Ray Robinson on his head. He was far greater than Sugar Ray Robinson. Mayweather's undefeated. Sugar Ray Robinson had 19 defeats. 19, can you count them? He's better than Ali. Better than Muhammad Ali. In fact, if he'd moved up to heavyweight, perhaps he could have beaten Ali. Ali wasn't that big a heavyweight. It's an endless avalanche of bullshit. And he's not the only one. And these fucking idiots. I despair when I read this crap. Are people really that stupid? They've got to be trolling. But no, you do get your trolls, but most of them are serious. Anyway, another example would be Tyson Fury. Mayweather was a great fighter. Don't get me wrong, he's a great fighter. Tyson Fury, his career's still going. He's a great fighter. Some of the things he's done in the boxing are amazing. Going to Germany, beating Klitschko. Excuse me. A trilogy with Deontay Wilder. That was a good one. I enjoyed it. Listen to some of his cretinous fans. I use the term fans loosely. He's the greatest heavyweight ever. Lennox Lewis, Tyson would have stood him on his head. He could have knocked out Mike Tyson in 2 rounds. Greater than Ali. This bloke's greater than Ali. Oh, yeah. Look, Tyson Fury is a great fighter, but his resume ain't that deep. He's had some good wins abroad, a few of them. He's made one successful defence of his titles. His career's still going, so I'm not judging the guy. I don't believe in judging careers until they're over. But all of the aforementioned guff is just that. It's just piss and wind, But some people want to live vicariously through famous people. They become so devoted that they become totally delusional. They're away with the fairies, No amount of illicit drugs could send them into outer space like their devotion for a certain fighter does. So in other words, let's get back to the original point. Never be a fanboy. Never, ever, ever be a fanboy. Because you come across as a complete and utter prick. So that's number 1. Number 2 is similar, but different. I'll explain why. Never concern yourself, number 2, never concern yourself with promoters or broadcasters. Why on earth should any boxing fan give a fiddler's wank who a promoter is or who's broadcasting a fight? And yet nowadays we have the sort of cult of PBC versus DAZN. We have people aligning themselves to Sky Sports perhaps, or Sky Boxing, or saying that, so other people who don't like Sky Boxing because of Ben Shalom. I don't know the guy, but hey, Ben Shalom, he's a Poundland Eddie Hearn. Oh, really? Please. PBC, we know all about their little cults. That closed shop, sort of, almost like they're trying to create a UFC thing. Sometimes it's a racial thing. You don't like PBC, that means you're anti-black. Because a black man doing his thing, and fuck off. You just get the fuck out of here, right? It's nothing to do with race or ethnicity, right? When PBC first came along, I was really for it. I thought, this is great. It's because they were, renting time on various free networks. It was good. Then it became a cult, and the fighters started fighting less and less, especially the heavyweights. They hardly fight at all. And the whole thing became this sort of incestuous, creepy, sort of David Koresh scenario. But again, why would you care? I don't like Eddie Hearn. I want DAZN. I'm not touching DAZN. Eddie Hearn, innit? Eddie Hearn, I don't like him. He comes across as being smart. He's an Essex boy. But who gives a fuck? One of the most odious characters in the history of boxing, Don King, who, by the way, murdered 2 men, just in case you're interested, put on some of the greatest cards ever, promoted some of the greatest fighters ever. You don't have to approve of these people. You don't have to approve of these people. in order to like the fights. So yes, number 2, don't align yourself with any particular broadcaster or promoter. It's utterly pointless, and you come across as, what do you come across as looking like? Oh yeah, a prick. That's right. Number three. Don't concern yourself with how much money a fighter is making or has in his bank account. Why on earth would you concern yourself with that? Is he giving you a pension? Is he paying you weekly or monthly? Of course, the obvious choice. It sounds like I'm picking on Mayweather. I mean, I think Mayweather's a fucking arsehole, but great fighter, and he's made his money, and fair enough. I'm just using him as the obvious example, because Mayweather fans are such a bunch of tossers. Not all of them, but a lot of them. A guy called, he calls himself Money. As if you think that is something to look up to, if you think that having a hero to whom money is some sort of godhead and is everything in life and defines you as a man or a woman, then you need to take your head out your ass and breathe some real air. Because money buys you things, it buys you trinkets, it buys you flash cars, jewellery, all this crap, which is nice to have, but they're toys essentially. It doesn't define you as a man at all, as a human being. I mentioned Mayweather because he's the obvious choice, Floyd Money Mayweather. But you get this, it's not just in boxing, to be honest, it's in life. Someone's got the bag, you got the bag, he's got a lot of money, Elon Musk, Bezos, and, all these people. Look, why are you concerned about that? Why are you concerned about other people's bank accounts? There are people that admire fighters because they've made a lot of money. Well, so-and-so only made this, and this bloke over here, this fighter over here, he made more. So, yeah, obviously he's better, isn't he? He deserves more. He deserves to have more power, and, And this fighter over here, he or she doesn't make much money at all. Oh, no, they can't be very good. I mean, fucking hell. It does my head in. It does my head in. So, yes, number 3. Don't concern yourself with bank accounts because you come across as a prick, okay? Don't be a prick. There are probably more things I'm going to think about, so I may do a follow-up video, but those 3 things: don't be a fanboy, don't align yourself with any broadcaster or any of that bullshit, or, any promoter, because it's got nothing to do with boxing. Good fights are good fights. And don't concern yourself with money, with how much money a fighter has made or is going to make, because all of that stuff is just a load of fanny, okay? Those 3 things will do, but I may do a follow-up video. But anyway, what do you think? Leave your comments below. Do you think I'm... By the way, you might say, well, who are you to pass judgment on anyone? No one. I'm just giving you my opinion. As someone who's followed boxing for 54 now, so I've probably followed it for 45 years. I've been going to small shows for about 40 or nearly 40. I'm going to live shows, not just the smaller ones, but live shows. So I have some insight, having seen different eras and predating the internet age, and, having observed British boxing culture over 3.5, 4 decades. I have some insight, but I don't claim to be an expert. And if you disagree with me, if you're a younger fan or if you're older than me, you disagree, that's absolutely fine. But let me know your comments below. Once again, thank you for watching. I appreciate your time. And if you could hit subscribe, like the video, share the video, I'd really, really appreciate it. I'm going to finish my strawberry shortcake, which I've kind of ground into a big mess. I will finish this revolting coffee because I'm not throwing away a quid. And hopefully I will see you all again sometime. So you have a nice day. Much love to you all, and you take care of yourselves.